Hey traders, Michael or Mini Frost here. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Today is Turnaround Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. You're looking at a daily chart of the SPY or spiders, which is the proxy for the S&P 500. What do we have on the docket today? Well, we got a ton of interesting things going on across all the markets. But first things first, let's start with she's down 0.5%. She's down a little bit more than $3, and look what she did. She did exactly what we talked about yesterday. She went and completed this unfinished business. The unfinished business was this gap right here from last Thursday that came in at 632.08. She went up there, she grabbed the receipt, and she got the hell out of there. Couldn't get much farther than that. And then where did she run a test to? The 20-period moving average. In the video last night, I stated that if she went and filled this gap and got rejected, one of the first destinations was going to be the 20-period moving average. The next destination is going to be this most recent breakup candle low. Couldn't quite get there today. Doesn't mean she can't get there tomorrow. And then not to mention, we also have the trend line down below. It's important to note that she did close below the 20-period moving average, so staying below the first line of defense opens the door to this lower stuff right here, the breakup candle low, and then the trend line. We can go back up to retest today's high, and then possibly even try to start working on this breakdown candle high, or she can just go complete what lies below. So we do have some divergences across the markets. IWM, my number one favorite market leading indicator, is up on the day. So is the transportation department. We'll get more into that later. But then looking at the spiders and the Qs, we were both down. They both filled the gap, which was both unfinished business, and then came right back down. But this is normal garden variety behavior. This gap was resistance on the way up. And then what'd she do once she filled the gap? She went to retest the 20-period moving average. That is home base. So this is really just a normal garden variety move. But as traders, we are also the umpires calling balls and strikes. We need to look at both sides of the tape with an unbiased perspective. If she starts to close above the 20-period moving average, we can say that the trend is your friend, and then she's going to start to work on this breakdown candle high. But if we remain below the 20-period moving average, then all this stuff right here is in play. Let's jump around real quick and take a look at the Lazy Swing Trader Automagical Algo system. We talked about TJX yesterday, but today she hit her final profit target. Pretty much nailed it right on the dot. Zero heat on the trade. We got this trade around the middle of June, and now it's August, and we just got to our last profit target. But that's what swing trading is about. Swing trades aren't day trades. They could take weeks, even months. You have to give it time to cook. You're not going to go cook a brisket and then open the smoker every 10 minutes. Same thing applies to trading. You got to give it some time. Time is more important than price. We exercised patience, and Lazy Swing Trader members got paid. And now this is your last chance to get in on the action. Our Lazy Swing Trader exclusive deal is going to end this week. So if you've been waiting to get in, now is the perfect time. We had 3 new alerts today, a lot of new positions opening up, and there are still going to be new positions opening up. We have a ton of stuff on the table, on the watch list. So again, this deal ends this week, so you better get on your horses. 87% win rate this year. Scroll down to the bottom, you can see all of our recent swing trades. Looks like Christmas, but just with more green. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Now let's take a look at inside the numbers, starting with the 0 dark 30 stuff. We got a ton of good stuff to go over today. This was an absolute numbers bonanza day. So stay with me because you're going to want to see this. But let's start with the morning pivot coming in at 632.05. When this was written, we were above it at that time. So this was an initial support number on the board. But as the morning grew, she got below the number and then she used it as resistance. Let's go check it out. Right at the vertical line is today's activity. Pivot is in green. And as you could see right in the morning, she touched it pretty much on the dot and then provided you a base hit. We weren't necessarily calling this a trade, but this just goes to show that this pivot was important. As you could see, she got above it for a little bit, but she wasn't able to withstand staying above the pivot. She was closing candles below, and that was bearish. All right, let's scroll up a bit. This is at 9 o'clock. Closing candles below, she's bearish and will open the door towards the gap from yesterday. She can spike the gap down to our first number at 630.30. So we put the number on the board, and as you could see, she nailed it on the frickin' dot the first time around. First time, best time. The low was 630.28. Our number was 630.30. She spiked it by 2 cents, pretty much on the freaking dot. And then take a look at this. We started to get below it, but then where did she go back up towards? She went up to 630.30 and used it as resistance on the way back up. So 100%, this number was important. It pays to know your numbers. But wait, there's more. We got a ton of intraday stuff, but we're going to go to around 10:30. We had another number below at 629 that created a zone of support, but she did come up short of the number, so we go with the first time best time principle, and now we were looking for a spike of it, possibly down to 628.45 or the next number in the sequence at 627.60. The next note right after at 10:38, I'm more interested in 627.60. She can have a little bounce right here at 628.45, give or take, but I'm waiting for the lower number. How you doing? 627.60. Spiked it by a little bit, but nevertheless, this was the support number. She provided you a base hit, and then guess what? Just for fun, let's put up that 628.45 number. It's right about right here, give or take. And then what'd she do? She used it as resistance on the way up. Came up, tested it, got rejected, came back down to the 627.60, found support off of it once more, and then bounced right back up. So all in all, these numbers were super uber important today. This was a numbers bonanza day. But it's not just the S&P, we also had the IWM. Those numbers worked out pretty damn well today. We have S1 and R1 on the board. These come straight from inside the numbers. Members have these numbers well before the opening bell, and as you could see, she touched 221.25 right on the dot, and then where'd she go right down to? 218.60, the first support number we had on the board. We could give that one a how do you like dem apples? What about one of our fan favorites, gold futures? We had a resistance number 2 on the board, 3443. As you can see, she spiked it by a touch, but this was resistance on the way up. Pretty much nailed high of day. How you doing? So we had trades all across the board today. We had some swing trades go off. We had a final profit target in that, along with some new entry targets. We had a couple base hits in the SPY. We had a trade on the Qs. We had trade in gold, IWM. We had something for everybody. If you're actively trading the S&P or any of this other stuff, you need to know your numbers. Inside the numbers and the live room is the place to know your numbers. We give them to you well before the opening bell so that you're always prepared. Everything that we talked about in the S&P is all written here at 0:30. How you doing? Absolute numbers bonanza day. What about Camp IWM? She was up 0.5%, and the SPY was down 0.5%. So I smell some divergences. These generally resolve themselves, but it's just something to take at face value. All of my favorite market-leading indicators, Camp IWM and the transportation department, are up on the day, and the spider and the Qs are down. And then yesterday, we noted that IWM and DJT did complete their unfinished business above, yet the spiders and the Qs did not yesterday. So we still have some puzzle pieces that we need to put together. But let's go take a look at this and do some technical analysis. So as you can see, we had a gap higher on the day, but she did try to run a test within the latest breakup candle low. She got to around the midpoint of that candle. But as you guys know, it's about how you close them, not how you open them, not how you trade them within the day. Obviously that stuff is important, but what's more important is about how you close them. And today she closed pretty well. She's up 0.5%. I'll take it at face value. My number one favorite market leading indicator, but we are still down below the 20-period moving average. That is the next destination in line. And then we got some of these big breakdown candle highs. Something else to take note is that we have a convergence between the 250-period moving average. We bounced yesterday right on top of it, the 200-period moving average. And today we had some follow through towards the upside. But if we remain below the 20-period moving average and we're not able to get back above it, what is she going to do? She's going to go back for a retest of this big breakup candle low, possibly getting down to the convergence of the 200 and 100-period moving average. So if we take a look at the weekly chart for a second, we technically can say that the trend is your friend because we are above all the moving averages. On the daily chart, we still have the 20-period moving average that we are below. So the next destination is going to be this big time breakdown candle high, right around this vicinity of the high. That's going to be some important overhead resistance. But we're going to be running a test of this area contingent on the fact that we get above the 20-period moving average. That is the next destination in line. But remember, we are the umpires. We do have divergences between the favorite market leading indicators and the spiders and the Qs. So where is she going to follow? Are the spiders and the Qs going to follow suit of the market leading indicators? Or is IWM and the transportation department going to follow suit of the spiders and the Qs? It wasn't a huge down day or up day for either of the two. It's only 0.5%. I mean, it is decent, but it's nothing too crazy. Divergences will resolve themselves. But the question is, in which way are they going to resolve themselves? Let's go ahead and take a look at the folks in the transportation department. She's up 1.12%. And look at this. She ran a test of the 50-period moving average, and we did close candles right above it. She stopped right at this most recent breakdown candle high. We're not shocked that she stopped at that number. That is resistance. That is an important area on the chart. And the next destination is going to be right above this 200-period moving average. So that's on the upside. But what about the downside? Well, if she takes out these lows right here, she's going to want to run a test of this big time breakup candle low that also coincides with the last line of defense, the 100-period moving average. So all in all, she's going back for a retest of the 50-period moving average, which she did today. Closing candles below is the early warning sign, is the canary in the coal mine that we want to potentially take out these lows and go to the last line of defense, the 100-period moving average. This is an important spot where we are right now. What about the Q people? She's down 0.68%, and she did some normal garden variety behavior stuff just like the spiders. She went and filled this unfinished business, she filled the gap, and then she ran a test of the 20-period moving average. This is normal stuff. But there's nothing wrong with this. She wanted to go run a test of home base once more. Closing candles above, the trend is your friend. We reestablished the uptrend, and then she's going to want to go run a test of this big time breakdown candle high. But if she gets down below, we got a different story. You best believe that we're going to be prepared with numbers for the upside and the downside for Inside the Numbers and live room members. We'll be ready. What about the financials, XLF? She's down 0.40%. Unlike the spiders and the Qs, she did not go ahead and fill this gap. That falls in line with the 20-period moving average. That's at 52.37. And what'd she do? She ran a test of the 50-period moving average once more, closing candles right on top of it. Normal garden variety stuff. Now we need to see how she wants to handle that level. If she's going to close above or below. If she's above, then we're more likely than not to fill this gap up above. If she closes candles below, then we have this gap that she wants to fill that is considered unfinished business. We almost got there, came up short by a bit, so we got some unfinished business up above and down below. She's sandwiched in between, so only time will tell what she wants to do. But this moving average, closing candles above or below, is going to be important. Real quick, if we go to the weekly chart, there's nothing wrong with the chart. We're above all the moving averages, so the trend is your friend. And if there's nothing wrong with the financials, there's nothing wrong with the overall structure of the market. Again, we're sandwiched in between some important areas. We got this big time breakup candle low that coincides with the 20-period moving average with the 50 right underneath. And then we also have the most recent breakdown candle high. And getting above that, we're going to start entering new uncharted territory, some new all-time highs. So we'll see where she wants to go, but this is the process of being the umpire calling balls and strikes. Last but not least, we got SMH shaking my head, the semiconductors. She's toying around with the 20-period moving average. She's down about 1% on the day, closed below the 20-period moving average. So she's just playing with it. This is normal garden variety behavior. We have unfinished business right here at 283.95. This is an unfilled gap. We made a low today of 294.21. So that is declared unfinished business. And then what do we have above? We got this big time breakdown candle high. And then that's a stone's throw away from new all-time highs. So to wrap things up, we got some markets that are sandwiched in between some important areas. And it's only a matter of time before we know where she wants to go, either up or down. That's the obvious, but we are the umpires and we do have perspectives on both sides of the tape. That's what being a trader is all about. Not to mention, this is a good case of screwing two factions of traders, people looking to exit or enter long at the gap. She came up short of the gap, leaving some traders in the altar, and this is also a first time, best time situation. So coming back down to fill the gap, I'm less inclined to actually take a position. We came up a few pennies short of it. So the next test is going to be this low right here, and then we have this big breakup candle low. That's going to be the leg lower, and we have the 50-period moving average creeping upon that. Have I told you guys how much I appreciate you all? Without you guys, these videos or MSF would not be possible. That is true and accurate information. Put it on a sticky note. We're going to pull the ripcord for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. I'm Mini Frost. We'll be back ready to go in uniform for tomorrow's session and the video later that night. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and take care.